Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This is the presentation of our group. Our group consists of 4 members, as shown here in the names. The speakers in this presentation are with the same orders like the names. The first one to speak is me, Rania Ahmed Abdullah. I am from the School of Management. The content of our presentation is as follows: introduction, research problem, research design, research questions, SDG 1, 2, 3, and finally conclusion. Following the Millennium Development Goals, the United Nations established 17 Sustainable Development Goals and 169 targets are intended to be achieved by 2030. The aim of SDGs is to ensure future life for all by combining social, economic, and environmental dimensions. The aim of this presentation is to shed light on the social dimensions of SDGs, mainly the first 3 SDGs: no poverty, zero hunger, and good health and well-being. Achieving the above-mentioned SDGs is not an easy task. All SDGs interact with one another. They form an integrated system of objectives and priorities. For example, Goal 1 of poverty reduction is linked to other goals such as water and sanitation. Goal 6, health. Goal 3. On the other hand, Goal 2 is linked to those goals related to decent work and economic growth and reducing inequality that will reinforce poverty eradication. Thus, achieving the first 2 goals may contribute to achieving other goals. These 2 goals are the most important for developing countries, as 736 million people in 2015 live on less than $1.9 a day, and more than 820 million people in the world were still hungry in 2018. Dahri and Umari argued that achieving SDG 1 and SDG 2 are essential to achieve sustainable development for future generations. It's expected that achieving SDG 1 and SDG 2 will help in achieving other SDGs, especially SDG 3, 5, 8, 12, 10, 13, and 15 as well. Similarly, while SDG 3 is devoted to good health and well-being, health contributes to almost all other goals. For example, universal health coverage can help reduce poverty by protecting people from a major cause of financial hardship, and good health can fuel increased employment and economic growth. Based on the above discussion, it is necessary to investigate the level of achievements of these 3 SDGs, as they form the basis for achieving other SDGs. Our research contains 3 research questions. The first: to what extent SDG has been achieved? Research question 2: to what extent SDG 2 has been achieved? And research question 3: to what extent SDG 3 has been achieved? The current research has an exploratory nature. It aims to explore the extent to which the social SDGs are achieved. This will provide us with a better understanding of these goals and the level of achievement of each of them, and deriving conclusion based on the current situations and suggest future procedures that increase the opportunities of sustaining these goals by 2030. Now, let's explore and figure out the level of achievement in each of these goals, starting with SDG 1 with my colleague Mr. Bakr Tarauna.
Thank you, Ms. Rania. Sustainable Development Goal number 1 is no poverty. It aims to end extreme poverty in all forms by 2030. The eradication of all forms of poverty by 2030 is a top priority for the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. Announcing an aim to end poverty is simply nothing more than a sign of positive will at times and locations. It conveys to vulnerable people and those who care for them the message that the government or a foreign organization is on their side. This is known as a symbolic goal. At the individual, organizational, and national levels, poverty has been described as a major cause of expanding global inequality and underdevelopment. Family support policies aim to improve the growth and well-being of families by addressing issues such as fertility, jobs, poverty reduction, gender equality, education, and health. Among the reasons of poverty are the restricted zakat implementation. Poverty is intense in the majority of Muslim nations, with more than half of the population living in extreme poverty. According to Cleninger and Gartner, land erosion impacts about 24% of the global land surface, adversely affecting the well-being of at least 3.2 billion citizens. Lack of alternatives cause high reliance on land, particularly for the 3 billion people living on less than 2.5 USD per day. Continuous land use for irrigation, livestock production, or mining without sun control limits productivity and exacerbates poverty in a cyclical manner. For leveraging the level of achievement of SDG 1, we have two notions. Zakat, which is a tool, and social work is the process of assisting people in overcoming suffering and bringing about social change on a local, global, and international basis. On the other hand, we have land conservation, which has renovation projects. This will create jobs, recycled soil industry and oil supply inputs, and this will increase food supply and habitation materials. And last but not least, we have sustainable management, and this will help in eradicating poverty. Polluted property is restored or will be restored, livelihood are strengthened. As a result, it is clear that fighting poverty is a win-win policy through which other SDGs are maintained in an easier manner. Now I'll give the mic to my colleague, Ms. Raida.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. I am Raida Al-Jasmi. I'm from School of Communication. I will be talking about SDG 2, Zero Hunger. Goal 2 pledges to finish hunger, achieve food security, improve nutrition, and promote sustainable agriculture. And is that the priority of the Planet Food Program? Current situation. 1 in 3 people suffer from malnutrition, which is caused by not enough food. According to the research, 690 million people are hungry, up by 10 million people in 1 year. According to the United Nations Food and Agriculture Organization, 135 million people are suffering from severe hunger. The COVID-19 pandemic could now double that number, putting a further 130 million people in danger by the top of 2020. Approximately 250 million people sleep in Africa, where the number of undernourished people is increasing at a higher rate than any place else on the planet. In 2019, 144 million children under the age of 5 were stunted, with 3/4 of them living in Southern Asia and Sub-Saharan Africa. 47 million under 5 were suffering from wasting, which is characterized by a lack of nutrients and illness. Asia continues to be home to the bulk of the world's undernourished 381 million people around the world. 2 billion people do not have regular access to safe, nutritious, and sufficient food. Possible causes: man-made conflicts, climate change, economic downturns. Efforts underway. The Food Aid Program provides lifeline to 87 million needy individuals, and FAO is urging government to satisfy the emergency food needs. 300 million fewer hungry people than in 1992. And in 2015, the worldwide community adopted the 17 global goals for sustainable development to enhance people's life by 2030. By 2020, cultivated plants, farmed and domesticated animals will maintain their genetic diversity. By 2030, everyone should have access to food. Action for attaining zero hunger. A coordinated approach is required. Investment in nutrition, synergy between political will and action, and strategic partnerships can help. And also install an aquaponics system, which is combination of plants and fish. It integrates raising fish in tanks with soilless plant culture. Thank you. And now to continue with our colleague, Ms. Kusundus.
Thank you for all, my colleague. My name is Sundus Al-Kiswani from Educational School. I will speak about SDG 3 that aims to ensure everyone's health and well-being at all stages of life. As you see here, we have 9 targets have been identified to achieve this goal. As you see, the main thing is reduce the global MMR and all preventable deaths and the epidemics of disease, reduce that mental health, strengthening all the treatment of suspendence abuse, reduce deaths and other traffic accidents, ensure universal access and healthcare services, achieve universal health coverage, and finally reduce illness and any chemicals and pollution. And as you see here, we have requirements for achieving SDG 3, starting from working conditions, enable climate, wages, food security, housing, education, and finally, appropriate services. After searching in the research review, we found that World Health Organization in New General Program of Work 2019-2023 is based on the SDGs all. Three strategy priorities are universal health coverage, health security, and improved health and well-being. In most nations, improving everyone's health and well-being is a political decision rather than an economic one. As you see here, we have two figures regarding nationality, health status, and trend in childhood mortality, deaths per 1,000 live pairs. The next is how the disease and how the disease is decreased by time. Between 2015 and 2030, an additional $3.9 trillion will be needed to meet the SDG health goals. A stable population is a requirement for development and an economic growth driver. As you see, SDG 2 and 3, that reducing hunger will result in immediate improvements in health. As a conclusion, that regarding the level of achievements in each of the three SDG goals, unfortunately more efforts should be exerted to achieve SDG 1. The world is not on target to realize zero hunger by 2030. Finally, attaining SDG 3 is related to the achievements in SDG 1 and SDG 2. And as you see here, we put the reference as in 2 pages. Thank you for your listening, and we hope that you enjoy in our presentation. Thank you for all.